My name's Steve Rosenfield, and I'm a photographer out of Sacramento, California. I'm originally from Boston. Moved to California about 8 years ago. The inspiration behind the project came from probably my history when I was, I was in a 9-to-5 network administrating job in a big company, and I just wasn't happy. I never shared my feelings, and my relationships lacked because of it. So I came to the conclusion that in order for me to be happy, I needed to do something different. I needed to do like the complete opposite. So instead of not sharing my feelings, I started to share my feelings with family and friends, and it kind of created this bond that I never had before. And I found myself just becoming happier,
So last year, when I was in high school, I was part of a leadership board called the California Association of Student Leaders. And so last year, another Duke student and I named Jamal, we went back to California in order to help out with the conference, and the What I Be project was actually at the conference. And I was about to participate, and I had to get on my flight to get back to Duke. And so it was interesting because I was like, I felt like this would be really moving for me, and I didn't get to do it. And then I thought more about it and thought that it would be a great opportunity to bring it to Duke to see if, other students would be moved by it as well.
I think that, bringing this whole project to Duke as a means of getting students to address their insecurities, open up about them, and then reclaim them by broadcasting them to the entire student body, held a lot of potential for starting important conversations at Duke about mental health stigma, things like that may not have happened in the absence of this project.
So it's interesting because I found out through some of my friends RSVPing on the Facebook event for Duke, and I had no idea what it was, so I kind of clicked on it because I was just curious. And I started reading through it, and so I clicked on his website, and I was like, dang, this is awesome.
And so I kind of looked at it online, and then from there I was like, let's do it. It sounds really cool.
I felt like it was a good opportunity to kind of step out of my boundaries a little bit, kind of test myself, especially when it comes to my insecurities and just who I am as a person.
Especially over the course of college, I've noticed when I take the risk to be vulnerable, people tend to open up back, and then I have friendships that last for, a really long time. So I kind of read the description and thought, this is exactly what I think we need more of. I want to be a part of it.
Talking to Steve, what ended up happening, he asked me point blank, what is your biggest insecurity? And I was thinking, and within 5 seconds he was like, you already have it in your head. Don't tell me the second, third, or fourth. Tell me the very first one. And I was like, well, in that case, I guess it would be my sexual orientation, because this is something that has been a recent development in my life as of maybe just a few months ago. And he was like, tell me a little bit more about that. So we kind of started talking in terms of conversation of what I've talked about with the people that I have come out to. In some of those conversations, what I kind of came up against was this idea or expectation that eventually I would just kind of revert back to heterosexuality. And so that's where he got the thing that he wanted to write on my body, it's just a phase.
I moved to America right around 9/11. I'm Muslim and all these things, and so I just felt like I was acutely aware of my race more than anybody else had to be for such a long time. And it was one of those things where I sort of felt like I was less good because of it, and always tried to compensate for that. I've created an identity for myself that is completely outside of being Indian. And I think that comes out of the fact that I felt like there was something wrong with being Indian, and having to be somebody outside of that was important. And so that was sort of why I felt like it was an important conversation to be had, because I don't think people recognize that it's something that I'm insecure about, and it could start an important conversation.
I wanted to address my insecurity as a member of the LGBTQ community at Duke. I wanted to talk about the pressures of masculinity, especially on gay men. And I've noticed particularly at Duke this pressure. Written on my face was "act straight." The phrase attached to my photo was "I am not my flamboyance." In that I'm saying that I am not just my flamboyance. So while I do exhibit flamboyant or effeminate qualities, my personality, my characteristics as a person are certainly not limited to my flamboyance, and there's a whole lot more to me that if you were to get to know me, you would learn a lot more about what I am as a person.
So my statement was, I'm not my disappointments, and so basically I just want to incorporate everything about it because it affects all aspects of my life. So I wrote 4 things on my arms. The first was not a 4.0 because it affects my academic life. Not a 36, 26, 36, which are measurements of an hourglass figure. Not in love because I'm not in love. And then not enough. And that's just a general statement how no matter what I'm doing or how hard I try, it just never seems to be enough. And it's just disappointing what the results are and how the output never equals the input. And just a general statement about how everything, all of those 4, are being affected by my disappointments in life and how it affects me as a person.
Written on my face was, I'm interested in him, and then on my shoulder I had, and her. And my sentence was, I am not my sexuality. So I actually didn't think that was going to be what came out of the conversation. I felt like I didn't have a claim to make that my insecurity at this point in my life because I've never been in a relationship long term with a guy or a girl. I'm not really a commitment type of person. And that wound up spurring the entire 40-minute conversation because the fact that I felt like to be straight, you don't have to have had a 6-month boyfriend, but to say that you're not straight, you do, kind of where does that come from? And in realizing that that was something I shouldn't hold myself back because of, it became the thing that I really wanted to say and felt like I should say, but was also scared or most afraid to say.
In society, especially here at Duke, we're told a lot about what we should believe about ourselves. Things that relate, from my personal side, it had to do with my faith and also the intersection of that and a lot of things we discussed here, about gender and sexuality, and whether or not, as a Christian, you could be both caring about those issues, but also try and adhere to the body in some ways. We're told a lot, especially here at Duke, about what we're supposed to believe about ourselves and about, sort of our place in society, about society as a whole. And the question I think that always comes up for me especially is so what should I believe from what I'm being told from all these different voices? What is the thing that I should actually believe about myself about things that are happening? And I think that's what I was trying to portray in that. It was this sort of questioning of, really figuring out who we are at this point and who I am. In the context of the world.
One of the most remarkable things about it was having other people who are in similar situations to me come to me and talk to me about it. So I think that was the most amazing thing is all of the Facebook messages that I got and the face-to-face communications of people who have experienced the same things that I have and felt like what I said reconciled with them or was brave or whatever.
I think that this was an important opportunity for me in a public place to talk about how I feel that my identity as a gay man is stigmatized.
I think I'm still very much in the midst of processing even what it means that I did it. I was excited to be a part of, I think, growing momentum across campus in terms of being more open to different forms of sexuality, and so I guess that's how I thought it might speak to other people, but it was also really important for me to get it out there for myself and take that claim.
It made me kind of come to terms with my insecurities. Unlike a few of the other pictures, I'd already acknowledged these insecurities and I knew that they existed, but I think what was different in my case was that I just wanted to come to terms and accept it. And I felt like one of my friends even said, oh, I know this about you, I already knew that. And it's I know you knew it, but I just wanted it to be out there.
And so it really helped to sort of provoke and start the conversation with people who I consider to be my friends and are sort of a part of my close friend group to actually talk about those issues. And I think we all felt similarly, but it was very hard to express that kind of thing. So having that there and putting it out there and making it very public allowed for that discussion to start to happen. I think that was really valuable to be able to connect with people on that level.
Unless you show all of who you are as a person, people can connect with you only so much. So I think that that's the biggest thing I've taken away from it is just vulnerability and how valuable that can actually be.
For me, the project has done already what I wanted it to do. What keeps it going is just seeing it do what I wanted it to do. It's just, getting emails from people, getting messages from people, and just saying what it's done for them and, how other people have been able to connect with them.
am not my sexuality.
I am not my disappointments.
I am not my flamboyance.
I am not my question.
I am not my lesbianism.
I am not my race.